Hi everyone, my name is Laurie and welcome along to today's edition of AFTV FANZONE, the show that gives the fans the opportunity to come on and air their views and have their say. All you've got to do is download the app and you can get access to the show. But without any further ado, let me introduce you all to my special guest today, one of my favourite AFTV characters, none other than Gooner Lee, aka BFG, and I'm not going to say what the F stands for. But Gooner Lee's in the building. What are you saying, bro?
Listen, man, it's good. You know, when we link up, man, it's always a good time.
It's always fire.
It is always fire. And yeah, we're going to get into some good stuff today. We've got some...
But before we do that, I've got to ask you how you're feeling. Because I know you weren't feeling
bro,
that well
listen,
recently.
COVID's still out there, man. I was run down with that COVID for, you know what, just over 2 weeks. Yeah, so it's been a while. So yeah, I'm good, man.
You didn't get the real COVID. You didn't get the 2020 version.
Listen, you know what? I'm a strong guy, so you know my body was fighting the antibodies and that. But you know, I'm good now. I'm good. But I was
great to see you.
Yeah, I was out for the count, and you know what? I missed some good watch-alongs. You know, I was kind of tuning in and watching you guys against Chelsea, especially. So all in all, Arsenal doing good, and I'm back. So we got a good game tomorrow. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you back. It's good to have you back. I'm looking forward to this. I know it's going to be fire. Okay, so let's start cooking. Today, we're going to be discussing the goalkeeping situation at Arsenal. People out there, you see the title. Will Aaron Ramsdale leave in January? Allow me to provide some backdrop and set the scene. So last season, Aaron Ramsdale was considered the number one keeper at Arsenal, having taken over previously from Bernd Leno. Bernd Leno himself was a very good keeper, but Ramsdale's been there a couple of seasons now. And despite some initial misgivings, has proved himself to be a very good keeper and was integral to Arsenal's title challenge last year. In the process, he also made his way into the England squad. I think that's fair to say. However, this summer, Arsenal signed David Raya. Now, we know that Raya is a keeper that Arsenal have been looking at since 2020, apparently.
I think the goalkeeping coach, isn't it? Iñaki Kanya?
Iñaki Kana.
Kana, yeah, he
previously worked with Raya. So we were looking at him, but to much surprise, he came in, even though Ramsdale was let's be honest, he was a fan's favourite and highly thought of. So a lot of people initially were pretty surprised. But anyway, Raya came to Arsenal with some excellent credentials, and I'll just go through those very, very briefly. He had a very impressive record for Brentford before he came to Arsenal. Faced the most shots, made the most saves, completed the most passes, claimed the second most crosses, seen as a very confident goalkeeper, especially with the ball at his feet. His distribution was a major plus point. Many people said he was like an extra outfield player. But at the start of the season, Ramsdale was the man in situ. He started in a Community Shield, win over Man City. He then played 4 consecutive league games, including a win over Man United back in September. However, the game against Everton away, Ramsdale was left out and Raya came in. We won that game. But since then, Ramsdale struggled to get back in the team. And he's played just 1 game since then. That was in the EFL game away to Brentford. So, so Ramsdale's been out for a while. And initially, he took being dropped very well. You saw that famous picture of him there at one point applauding Raya when he made one of the saves. However, as time goes by, it's starting to look like Ramsdale has been demoted. And it's now been openly discussed amongst fans, amongst experts, amongst pundits, that Ramsdale will either leave or needs to leave in January if he wants to further his career, and especially if he wants to be part of England's squad for the Euros next summer. So that's the backdrop. And I'm very keen to hear your views on this, because previously when we spoke, I know you're a big fan of Ramsdale, so take it away.
Do you know what? The one thing you've done really well there, and I have to give you credit, is you've given a lot of context. And I think genuinely, I feel like it's nice to hear everything before we discuss this, because it kind of gives you a real fair side for both sides. And listen, I think there's one thing that you missed, which I think is quite important, which is Arteta made it very clear when Raya came in, or when Raya came into the team and when he came into the club, that it was going to be a fair fight between these two keepers. And that's one thing which I think is so important that you didn't mention. And I think the reason why that's important is because we're now in this conundrum where you've got two keepers and it doesn't seem like a fair fight. It really doesn't.
Why don't you think that? No?
Because Arteta made a comment, and he made this, he made a very clear comment saying, if I could change a keeper in a game, I would do so. And there's been opportunities to do that, and he hasn't done it. And I don't want to talk about performances of Raya. I don't want to talk about performances of Ramsdale right now. I'm just saying, you made it clear in certain games you would swap keepers or you would change keepers for specific games. That's what I'm gonna take from what he said. I think that reading between the lines, that's what he made it seem. Either one of two things: I'm gonna change a keeper in a game, or I'm gonna change keepers for specific games.
Right.
And he hasn't done that. So he's almost made it seem like it's gonna be horses for courses, but it doesn't seem like that. It very much seems like now Raya's the number one keeper. So I just feel like that straight away, it's not as honourable as the person that I believe he is. I feel like he is quite an honourable person. I feel like he is a stand-up person, but you basically done a bit of BS there, in my opinion.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. That's fair. And I've heard other people express a similar viewpoint.
My thing is, I don't feel like I'm taking anything or I'm making anything up. I'm inferring from the words that he said. I didn't tell him to say this. This was unsolicited. He said this from the same way how he said that we've got 46 formations in this game. This is unsolicited information. I didn't ask him to say this. He said it. So if I'm meant to be a fan, you're a fan, all the people that are watching are fans, you only take what people say on face value because he's the manager, right? Yeah. So if he said these things, I have to then look at him and be like, you know what? Right. He's a manager that's going to be very fair and give both players the fair opportunity. And I don't feel that he has.
All right, let me ask you a question, yeah? So far, Arsenal played 14 games this season. That's including the Community Shield, where Ramsdale started in goal.
Yep.
Of those 14 games, Ramsdale's played in 6, Raya's played in 8. Raya's played in 8 of the last 9. But I think it's fair to say that we've had a look at both keepers. We know what Ramsdale can do anyway. But we've seen Raya play in 8 games. Of the two keepers...
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I feel like, yes, we played 14 games this season, but I think we only have to think about the moment Raya came in was the game... Against Everton. The game before that was when he played. Ramsdale played in the last Premier League game.
United.
Yeah, Arsenal against United, which we won 3-1. We then went to international break, I believe, and then, yes, we did. We went to international break, and since then... So I'm judging it from the time Raya's come in. So you can tell me he's played X amount of games before Raya came in. We can only really think about it when he's come to the club because there was no fight before that.
That's right.
So for me, you can tell me he's played 4 or 5 games, but it doesn't really matter because there was no one else there to give. We're not going to... Turner was going out the door. We knew that he was going to Nottingham Forest.
Now, my question to you is, you've had a look at Raya, close up.
Yeah.
Who do you think's the better keeper?
I genuinely think Ramsdale's the better keeper.
And why?
Look, I think one thing which I realized in the last 2 weeks, and I know you were kind of on the edge of what I'm about to say, but I genuinely have got sick of stats over the last 2 weeks. Honestly, it's...
you know what? I feel that, man. Because honestly, sometimes I get bogged down with stats.
I know, because I remember we did streams, even like lives last summer and the summer, like, and I know how you feel about stats, but it's...
Sorry, James.
It's genuinely... Well, I'm not sorry, James. It's genuinely... It's soul destroying when I have to hear these constant stats because I genuinely look at them. I look at the game and I don't see what these stats are. Now, I give you the perfect example. Last season, David De Gea got the most clean sheets. Now, yes, it's a team game and defense and etc., etc. But if you look at the performances of David De Gea, it just didn't make sense that he got the Golden Glove. So I'm just sick. And I'm now looking at this season. We bring it back to the point where you're mentioning why I believe that Ramsdale is the better keeper. You're going to bring to me, and I'm sure people are going to give in the comments, etc., etc. And after, I'm sure people make sure you smash a like on the video. They're going to talk about this long passes. They're going to talk about the short passes. They're going to talk about last season who had the shot percentage. I had a long back and forth with my guy Turkish on AFTV when he first came in, and I said, I don't see there's any difference. And I'm now looking at and Turkish gave me all of these stats and said he had a higher shot percentage, a save percentage last season for Brentford. He had a better long passing, better short passing distribution. I genuinely cannot for the life of me see this.
So you're saying
I can't.
The stats don't meet the eye test.
It doesn't. And you know, it's a bit like, you know, when we watch a game, right? I believe we did the new Nottingham Forest watch along. This is the prime example. We did the Nottingham Forest up, and you were there. Remember the first half? You were moaning, we ain't doing this, we ain't doing that. But I was saying to you, but Laurie, we had like 6 shots in the first half.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's almost like
that,
it's almost like, and you were like, we're not really dominating. So I remember I think we was 2-0 up in the first half. Saka scored that great goal, and you was like, and I'm like, bro, it's the first game, but you were trying to prove a point. It just didn't seem fluid. It didn't seem like we had a lot of control, and you kept going on, and you had reason to it. But I was just saying, look at the game. First game of the season, and I feel like we're trying to do something.
But okay, I hear what you're saying. So when tell me why you rate Ramsdale over Raya. Forget about the stats.
Ramsdale. When I look at Ramsdale, I think part of it is the intangibles. I think he's got the character to be a keeper for Arsenal, and that weighs heavy because there are some players. They come to clubs, they come with a big reputation, and they don't live up to it. They can't hold the badge. You see it at Man United, you see it at Chelsea, you see it at Arsenal. I think his intangibles, the way that he is, and he feels like a number one keeper. I look at Raya, I don't see that. And we can talk about all the different intangibles that makes up a keeper, but I'm not going to go into that.
I'm giving you the floor to tell me why, and the people watching.
Yeah, I feel that's the first part. I just think when you look, I know the stats don't bring it up to me. I just think that the keeper, he's a better shot stopper. I feel like he is better with his passing, but again, I can't prove that because the stats don't show it. But I just feel in the big moments, you get a better keeper. Right. Now, when I look at Raya, and I'm only can talk about, I've only seen him good in second halves. That's it. Other than Bournemouth and Everton, which the teams were really poor. Every single game, if you dissect it, he's just very, very lucky. I feel like I need to go and ask him what the lottery numbers are because he makes so many mistakes, but they don't lead to somehow us conceding a goal. You think about Lons away. That was an unsolicited mistake. He made the mistake, and hence why we made him hit. It was 1-1. It was nothing to do with anyone else. It wasn't the defense, it was him. You think about Man City, the first 5 minutes, okay, fine, it's a big game. But I don't feel, if I remove the fact that he made those mistakes in the first half, Alvarez, and there was another chance that I think was a bit poor. He just didn't seem to carry the weight of being the number one keeper in a big game.
So he's not filling you with confidence.
He's not filling me with any confidence. And I feel like the Chelsea game, he permeated a lot of nervousness in that team. Now, the team played poorly. I'm not going to put, it was Raya that made it. But I just look at him and I'm like, he's a bag of nerves. And I just don't see that with Ramsdale as much. Now, what I'm going to say, Ramsdale, I feel like near post, he's really poor. He doesn't get down early enough. I feel for crosses, he's not poor enough. And I think Raya's really good at those two things. But if I look at you look at Football Manager, you look at FIFA, you look at the stats of a keeper, I just feel like they're on better stats. Everything that I feel like the intelligence of Ramsdale as a keeper, I just feel like he's a better keeper. You look at, man, this is my last point on Ramsdale. That performance against Liverpool away, I would never see that performance from Raya. That performance was world class. World class.
Listen, I agree with a lot of what you said there. I actually feel blessed that we've got 2 quality keepers. I think that's something that we should be quite proud of, actually. However, it's going to be difficult to make things work. And it would appear that Ramsdale's been demoted. Now, a quick question before we go to the callers. If this situation persists, which, let's face it, it looks likely to, if you're Ramsdale in January, and let's face it, we know how this team works. There's going to be teams that are going to be looking at the situation. I've already heard, for example, that Chelsea are monitoring the situation. If you're Ramsdale and we get to January and you're still not getting in the team on a regular basis, what would you do? Well, if you're Ramsdale,
I think it's just the way that he's handled. I think genuinely, if he gets a fair opportunity, and I'm talking about 2 or 3 games, and then it might be swapping and change horses for courses. I think he can stay. But if he gets no chance to prove himself and prove his worth and show that he is a good keeper, because we've seen the performances last season, Leeds away, et cetera.
I hear. Then let's see what the. Sorry to interrupt, but we got calls.
No, it's cool. Let's go, man. I'm sure I'm going to get cussed out, but yeah, it is what it is.
Right, okay, we got Ollie, and I think that Ollie is going to be pro Ramsdale, so he's going to be in the Gooner Lee camp.
Yeah, hey guys.
How you doing,
man.
bro?
Yeah, not too bad. It's getting later over here in Australia, but it's good because I can get on here because after the game it's always late.
Yeah, yes. Right, so you've seen what we're talking about. You've seen the caption there, and you've heard myself and Gooner Lee have a discussion. What's your thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, like you said, I'm with Lee on this. I prefer Ramsdale. As much as I think last season we were critical of, we felt a bit nervous when Ramsdale was on the ball. I felt worse with Raya. And I think Ramsdale just brings the whole defence together. He's a character back there. I know, like what Lee said, yes, Raya is really good at claiming those crosses. That is a really good thing. But I feel like Ramsdale just knits that back line together in a back five. Whereas I just feel like Raya is sort of his own man in goal, which I'm sure Arteta, he's doing what Arteta wants him to do. But from a fan's point of view, I'd probably rather have Ramsdale.
That's a very important point you said there, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to go down that route as well. Because it would appear that Raya has been brought into the club because Arteta, the manager, wants to play a specific way. And I think whilst he acknowledges, as I'm sure we all do, that we've got two quality keepers, he feels, I would imagine, that Raya is more suited to playing the ball out from the back. He's better with the ball at his feet, and he's almost like an extra outfield player, if you like. Lee, what's your
Ollie, do you know what I wanted to ask you, Joe? You spoke about the manager. He wants Raya to do certain things, and I don't know if you remember the press conference where he kind of said, he kind of spoke about Ramsdale saying he's kind of been kicking it a bit long too many times and putting the team under pressure. Do you not feel though like that Ramsdale has the capabilities of being that extra outfield player and doing the things that the manager's asking to do, or do you think there's just no turning back because he's just shown that he can't do it?
I don't know. I think when we got Ramsdale in, the reason he took Leno's place was because of his distribution with the ball. And I find it weird that we're here 2 seasons later and we're doubting Ramsdale's ability to play with the ball at his feet and, distribute it, because that's the reason that he's in the team first place. So I have no doubt that Ramsdale can do that. Whether Arteta last season asked him to do it over the season and he never got to the level he wanted, I don't know. I'm not a Coney seeing what Arteta's asking him to do, but it does annoy me a little bit that he's kind of been dropped for something that got him in the team in the first place. But even so, we've seen flashes. I think back to Leicester, the first season he was in the team, and he played that ball straight through the middle to Aubameyang, and it was like half of the pitch, and just banged straight to Aubameyang. And I think Aubameyang may have lost the ball a little run, but we've seen glimpses of it. And I think Raya's trying to pass long quite a lot, and he's missing it. So I don't understand what's going on there, and what Ramsdale has to do is place back.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was going to say.
No, go ahead.
I keep going back to it. It doesn't seem like a fair fight. Now, listen, this is top level football, so nothing in life is fair especially when it's top level football. Everybody knows
it's a ruthless environment.
It is definitely a ruthless environment, but when the manager comes out and says things, you have to take it as gospel, right? You have to take him at his face value. So this is the guy that you bought in for £30 million, and you're now sort of putting him on the back burner when it doesn't really make sense. There's not even that much of a difference if you want to split hairs about who's the better keeper. So I totally agree with everything you're saying.
If I could just say, Ollie, let me ask you. So if this situation plays out the way it's going at the moment, come January, what do you think Ramsdale will do?
Look, I want Ramsdale to stay for as long as possible. I will say that as much as we criticise Arteta for not giving Ramsdale a chance, I think as well as that, you have to give Raya enough time to kind of get used to the team. So I think it would be very quick if Ramsdale moves in January. I know that there's a Euros coming up and he'll want to play, but I think Ramsdale, if he leaves, it should be a summer thing, because at that point you've got a whole season.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether Raya's loan is obligation. I think it might be if he plays a certain games.
We've got an option to buy him permanently.
I think even Arteta would be stupid to sell him in January because, like I said, you've seen Ramsdale for 2 seasons, so you can drop, you know what you're getting from. I think if Raya does this for 20 games and we're sitting here, in the middle of January and Raya's doing the same thing, I would hope Arteta puts Ramsdale back in. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be quick if Ramsdale just left in January.
Okay.
I was going
to move it on, but I'll give you the last one.
Ollie, I think what you said about the whole England thing, I don't even feel like that's a big deal because I've seen Harry Maguire play and he plays nothing for Man United. I've seen Calvin Phillips play Euro international games for England and he plays no minutes for Man City. So for me, why should Ramsdale be thinking, my place is in jeopardy? The players that in his position, there's no one that's really better than him. I don't even think he should be England's number one, as you said. So for me, I don't feel like he should be thinking, my place is in jeopardy. So,
Okay then. All right, Ollie, listen, bro. Thanks very much. Appreciate the call. Good call. And call back soon.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
No worries. Frankie. We've got Frankie coming up.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, really good, boys. Excited to talk about this topic.
Yeah, so you've heard what we've had to say. You've seen the caption there. What's your thoughts on the matter?
So, I'm inclined to think that Raya just needs a little bit more time in the first team because, Lee, you were mentioning about having a fair fight, and if you just spin it on its head and you think what would be fair from Raya's perspective. So he's come into a new club and maybe Arteta's given him the word that we want to go with you, Raya, for the short term, see what you're made of. I think a 7 or 8 game stretch is more than reasonable to expect. He gives him enough time to get his feet under the table, bed into the team and become familiar with the defenders he's playing with. And also, in terms of your point about nerves, I actually don't mind a player feeling the nerves because sometimes having nerves can focus you. And some of the criticisms coming Ramsdale's way last year was maybe that he lacked a little bit of concentration and he lacked that little bit of urgency. So maybe it's difficult to find the exact right temperament that's going to get the best out of you. And obviously everyone's different. So some might be a little bit more naturally nervous, others might be slightly too relaxed. So I don't think it's a bad thing that he's feeling nervous because it shows that he's sensing the prominence and the significance of the position that he's inheriting. So in terms of your fair fight point, I would give Raya another few matches to see what he's made of. And you mentioned that he was improving in the second half of matches, and I completely agree with you. I thought he was really good against Man City in that second half, and actually his kicking was pretty accurate in that second half. Thought he really grew into the game. So maybe that's a sign he might grow into his general position as the goalkeeper. If you're noticing that even in matches he's improving, maybe he's going to become more settled as he's given more opportunities. So I don't think it's a be-all and end-all for Ramsdale, but that would be my feeling on it at the moment.
Okay, Lee, you got anything?
Do you know what? I sticking on that point you're saying about growing into the role. I just feel like you take Ten Hag, you take Graham Potter at Chelsea and Man United respectively. Some players, some managers, some people, they just don't fit a role. And I feel like you could hope and pray that he grows into this role as being an Arsenal number one. But sometimes the shirt might be too big. And I'm not saying that for Raya, but I don't see any difference. And the nervousness, it's not the nervousness that's even the issue. It's the mistakes. The mistakes that he made, against Chelsea, I don't think that's a nervous. I just think that it's just quality, poor quality. I can't blame that mistake that he when he passed it to Palmer on nervousness. I can't blame the mistake he made against Lons on nervousness. That's just a pure silly behaviour.
The one thing I would say about nervousness is what you're worried about is if it transmutes to the back four. Yeah. Because once they start getting nervous with the keeper, then that symbiotic balance is disturbed, and it makes Arsenal more vulnerable defensively. Now, could I just ask our caller? if the situation stays as it is at the moment, which, let's be honest, it looks like it's likely to, what do you think Ramsdale will do in January? Do you think he'll go, or do you think he'll stay and fight it out, or do you think he'll think, for my long-term career prospects, I need to move on?
If I was Ramsdale, I would stay at Arsenal, because I just feel as if he's at a fantastic club, huge fan base around the world, and it has only been 6 weeks that he's been the number 2. So I think we just maybe need to take a little bit of the heat out of the situation and get some context that it's not actually been that long that he's been the number 2. And also that the fixture list is going to become more congested around the December, January period anyway. So let's just see how it unravels over the next 6 to 8 weeks, because we might start seeing more of a rotated scenario anyway, whereby Arteta starts to mix it up a little bit more. So if I was Ramsdale, I'd keep assessing the lie of the land over the next month, have positive, constructive conversations with Arteta, and show him that he's on point in training. And when he does get his opportunities, that he's ready and raring to go. So if I was him, I would stick around at Arsenal.
Okay, thank you very much. You know what? I pretty much agree with everything you said there. I'd loved Ramsdale to stay. I personally think we're blessed that we've got 2 quality keepers. And I know it might impact negatively on his international prospects, might do. But from an Arsenal fan's point of view, I definitely would love to see him stay. But listen, bro, thank you very much for your call.
It, man.
Thanks, Laurie. It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
thanks, Lee.
Cheers.
We got Steve on the line, and
How's it going, guys?
he thinks that Arteta's got it right. Am I right in saying so?
To a point, yeah. I think that there's been a lot of conversation around fairness, particularly looking at the treatment of Ramsdale. But I think as Arsenal fans, we have a tendency to forget, particularly towards the end of last season, there were matches where Ramsdale made me certainly uneasy in goal. I think that his distribution, as I think has been mentioned before, was going long very frequently, turning over possession. And actually, when you look at teams like Liverpool and Manchester City, they're good at keeping possession of the ball, taking the sting out of the game and managing it better. And I think Ramsdale's emotional nature, I think, means that he struggles to keep his composure in those moments. Whereas actually, when you look at Raya so far this season, okay, yes, he's made some mistakes, particularly the one towards the end of the game against Sevilla was a real concern. But you can see that he's got the composure, he's got the calmness in stressful situations to do at least what Arteta's asking him to do.
Okay, over to Lee.
Listen, I think, do you know what? There's one thing that you said that I agree with, respectfully. I don't think anything else you said I can agree with.
What is the one thing you agree with?
It was a point where you said that he does have a bit more composure, I think, than Ramsdale, sorry. But I think overall, when you spoke about the end of last season, can we remember that everyone keeps saying it's the end of last season when everybody was playing poorly? It wasn't just Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale wasn't the person that was permeating that sort of stress on the team. Yes, he did make some mistakes, but he also had some worldies at the end of last season. I keep mentioning that Liverpool game because that was in that end of stretch. Yes, he made a mistake against Southampton. And I would even think about the West Ham game. I don't think he was great in that game, but people keep making it out that he was the reason why we lost the league. And can I keep reminding people?
To be fair, the caller didn't say that though, did he?
No, he didn't. No. But I'm just
putting words in his mouth.
No, I'm just literally saying because you're comparing. No, people are comparing. Not much Stephen, but people are comparing last season, which was the end. We're now at the beginning where Ramsdale. If you compare the 2 starts, Ramsdale was fantastic at the start of the last season. And now I've got this guy who's 27, who's older than Ramsdale, who you're meant to have a bit more experience, looking like a bag of nerves and not looking good. And the things that he's been brought in to do, he doesn't look good at. Now, the next point that you mentioned was the fact that, this whole... the next point I was going to say, is we're meant to be in a title challenge. Last season, we weren't. So we're now meant to have a keeper that is meant to help us to win the league. I don't believe Raya is that person to help us win the league. It doesn't mean he's not good. It's just I don't think he's good enough. Okay. And I think there's a clear difference in terms of the 2 players. And you can level it at Havertz and another player. It's not just a a one-man thing. There's so many other points to it. So
Okay,
for me,
very quickly, I'm going to give the caller, because we've got a few other callers.
Go.
I'm going to give you the right to reply. Keep it brief. You've heard what Lee said. Very quickly, what do you think to that?
I actually can't disagree with much of what Leah said.
Come on! My guy, Steven!
You've changed my mind.
Oh, wow! Yes, Steven! Hey, listen. Just do it for me once, please. Team Ramsdale, please. Just do it for me. Come on. You got to put the hashtag up. Team Ramsdale, but come on, please. Come on.
I won't go that far. Give him a few more games. I think just as we've given Ramsdale a chance, I think we've got to give Raya a chance. I don't think he's been given long enough. So I think give him until Christmas, see how that land lies. If Ramsdale leaves in January, which I don't think he will, then so be it. But I think give him a chance.
Okay, bro. We got to move on. But listen, bro, thanks very much.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Nice one.
We got Ahmed up next. How you doing, Ahmed? How are you?
Ahmed,
I'm fine. What about you guys?
I like that touch, bro.
Yeah.
You look like you put a lot of care and attention into that.
I think.
Right, so where do you stand on the debate then? Ramsdale versus Raya. Will he leave in January? Will he won't? Where do you stand?
Yeah, I think to be honest, in this case, I'm with Ramsdale, and I think also like at the same time, I think if he leaves, I totally get it. Like I think when you are at that age and you are like promised to be the first keeper, and randomly you brought another keeper that is, I don't know, maybe at the same level as you, it just doesn't make sense. I think it doesn't make sense. As a fan, I think I'll look back at the whole transfer market that we had, and looking back at it, I think I would definitely give it a 5 out of 10, because when you look at the team as a whole, I don't think that we are title contenders, and I don't think that Raya helped us progress from last season in any way.
So you prefer to see Ramsdale back in goal, yeah?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Lee, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm not going to go that far. I do think we are title contenders, but I just think that Ramsdale does give us a better chance to win it. I do agree, and I think we've spoken about all of these different things, and I think we're right. We're meant to be trying to win a league title, so I feel like the signings were good enough to win us the league. Listen, I'm even going to include Havertz in there. I think he can do a job for us to help us to win the league. But the Raya thing, sorry, I wasn't with it from the start. It's not like I've always been Ramsdale. Like I've never been somebody who looks at it and thinks keeps to themselves. Sorry, no, like I'm flip flopping. But I'm now looking at it and I'm just like, no, like Ramsdale looks like the much better keeper. He looks more assured, and I trust him over the course of a season to make the difference.
Right. If I could just ask the caller, so you say you're not convinced with Raya. Why in specific? What have you seen that doesn't make you feel convinced that he's the man for the number one position in goal?
Yeah, I think when you bring a player, it's supposed to be an upgrade on the previous player, and it should. In Raya's case, it's supposed to be an upgrade on Ramsdale. And what I think is, I don't think there's a big difference between them. Like, okay, if we brought in let's say All Black, I think is the best keeper in the world, then I would understand Raya Ramsdale becoming a backup keeper. But when you look at it, I don't think there's that big of a difference. And also, like, when we talk about stats, I think we should also consider a lot of things when it comes to stats. For example, if you look at the long range passing, Brentford has Ivan Toney. We don't have that. And so, like, it doesn't, like, it doesn't make sense for me. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you though, right? Like, for me, I'm looking at the manager, right, for a second, and I love Arteta. I really do think Arteta's a good manager. I don't know if he's the best, but I feel like he's done so much for Arsenal in a positive. But you can question him and criticize him at times. So even this whole, I think it was a caller two callers back, he said he doesn't mind the rotation. Even that I don't really like. In what realm do you think that the keepers should be the ones that should change? they're different breed, they're different animals. They want to know who is the number one and who's the number two. And I just think even that rotation thing is a little bit like, even that I'm trying to give him excuses, and I don't even feel like that. So I don't know what you thought about that.
No, I don't think you should be rotating keepers. Like it doesn't. Yeah, I think when you rotate keepers, I think the chemistry between the back four and the keeper, it kind of is not. It doesn't level up. So when you rotate the keeper, I think that whole balance goes away, and you see it. I think you see it at Raya. Like, I don't think there's that understanding between him and the back four as the understanding that they had with Ramsdale, and so yeah.
You know what? That is a very interesting point, because I remember a couple of games ago, Charlene, I think it was after the Chelsea game, actually.
Yeah.
And I did a fan cam with Charlene, and she was raising the very good point that maybe the pressure of being number one can weigh heavy on the two keepers. So what she's basically saying is that the fact that there's a possibility of rotation, you're not sure that you're going to keep your place, can weigh heavy on the guy who's in possession. So yeah, you guys hit upon a good point there. With regards to Raya, I know you're not wholly convinced, but would you say it's a bit early to say that he's not for you? Because let's face it, he's played 8 times this season so far. And in that time, I mean, he's kept 4 clean sheets. He's only conceded 7 goals. So do you think it's a bit early to write him off?
I mean, I really don't know. I think as a keeper, like I expect you to hit the road running. Like I think I remember when Ramsdale came in, I wasn't really convinced, But from the first game, second game, I think third game, I was posting his pictures on my story. So it is. Yeah, I think like I expect you to hit the road running, because you're not a striker. Like, I think you stop goals. That's the whole point. So yeah.
And my other question to you is, do you think he'll stay? Come January, do you expect him to stay, or do you think he might be tempted to leave, or what would you like to see happen anyway?
I think Ramsdale, I really don't know. I think in this sport, you don't know what's gonna happen. But I would say, I think if I was Ramsdale, I am too good to be a backup keeper. I think Ramsdale's too good to be a backup keeper, and if he goes, I totally get it. So yeah.
Do you know what I wanted to say to you? I'm thinking about. When I feel like people go a bit hyperbolic and say, well, Ramsdale, Raya, who's the better keeper? We've got Havertz. Why are we talking about the keepers, etc., etc.? But for me, I just feel like this is such a, with the Havertz thing, Arteta might have his idea, and it may work, it may not work. But I just feel like when we're talking about the keepers, it's so important, because any mistake they make, it normally leads to a goal. Whereas with Havertz, the issue that you've got is he might not be performing, he might not be doing, but his game, his play may not be effective attacking wise, but it normally doesn't lead to us having or conceding. Which I do remember, coincidentally, the Man United first goal, he made a mistake. Then Man United scored, Rashford scored. So yes, I'm kind of contradicting myself. But with Raya, I feel that you've made such a good point. You want to see something which is such a clear and obvious, upgrade. And I don't see that. I know the numbers. I know people are going to scream stats and numbers to me, but I physically don't see it.
Try not to play the numbers.
I gave you the perfect example of the Nottingham Forest game. You kept saying we're not playing well, but I was like, look at the numbers. I was going against what I don't like. Look at the numbers, look at the stats, look at the possession.
I've got to interject there, because you told me we got a couple of callers on. But listen,
I get it.
Thank you very much, bro. You mentioned some very interesting points. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes. Goodbye.
Yeah, no. So yeah, but so for me, honestly, I'm just looking at the two goalkeepers, and for me, you see now Ramsdale, and that's another point I didn't want to bring up right now. I wanted to kind of talk about it a bit afterwards. Ramsdale's been linked to Chelsea. Chelsea have a project going on right now. Young English players, keeping them on their death row contracts, 8 years, etc., etc. but honestly, if he goes to Chelsea, I mean, it'll be strange if Arsenal sold a top keeper to Chelsea. But if he goes to Chelsea, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, well, where's Arsenal's projects and where's Chelsea's project? Because yes, we're further along, but if he feels that he can go to Chelsea and make a difference, what does it say about Arsenal and what does it say about Arsenal's project? I don't know what you think, but for me, I wouldn't be too enthused by it.
Listen, I'm on the record as saying that I would want Ramsdale to stay. I think we're in quite a unique position in that we've got 2 quality keepers fighting it out for the number 1 spot. And yes, there comes with that whole thing about rotation. Will one or the other be happy at being number 2? It's very different because you don't often see 2 top goalkeepers fighting it out for a number 1 spot. But if at all, I would love Ramsdale to stay. I think it's a long season, a lot of games, and I do think that there will be opportunities for the guy that's not in possession of the shirt. So, I guess in answer to your question is, if the project is for us to have 2 keepers at the top level fighting it out, then yes, I'm happy for that to proceed.
I feel like kind of like moving on, kind of like leading on from that, I should say, is going back to the manager with these 2 keepers. The issue that we've got, and all what he said, is the favoritism thing. And I want to kind of pick your brain and get your thoughts on that, because for me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, right, you've got Nketiah, for example.
I knew we couldn't go a whole show without you bringing up Eddie, especially to me. I knew you'd find a way of bringing up Eddie in this,
We've got a guy in the team who, for me, doesn't always deliver in terms of goals. I think he's got 2 goals in 30 games or 31 games. It's not great, is it, numbers wise? But then you've got other players in the team who just get shunned out of the team and they don't get a second chance. So for me, like, how does it equate to the best manager?
Right.
Man?
In answer to your question, what I would say is this. So, as I said previously at the top of the show, it's now been established that the manager and co were looking at Raya for a couple of years now, for as long back as 2020 is what I'm hearing. So they obviously had a vision of a keeper that could come in and play out from the back. As I said to you before, if you look at David Raya's stats in the season before he came here, he those stats are pretty impressive. Faced the most shots, made the most saves, completed the most passes, completed the second most crosses, and we know that he's a very confident goalkeeper, especially confident with the ball at his feet. And I just look at it and think that long term, that's the way the manager wants to play, and he sees Raya as better. I wouldn't use the word superior, better than Ramsdale in that area. And I also think that the manager has a vision where he feels that the goalkeeping position should be no different to some of the outfield positions where you have 2 quality players fighting it out for the spot in the team, as he would do in midfield, defence, up top. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm kind of looking at it. I think the manager's thinking he wants to embrace the fact that we've got 2 quality keepers. Any one of those 2 could come in at any given time and not let the team down, do a good job. However, his preference appears to be Raya because of those things that I mentioned before, his ability with the ball at his feet. And I would say this as well. A few weeks ago, I went to the Brentford game as myself and Cecil in the EFL Cup, and we got there quite early. We was in the game when the players were warming up, and I was watching Raya do some drills. Right, so Ramsdale was the keeper for that game, so Raya was providing crosses for Ramsdale to come out and catch. And I'll tell you this, bro, his delivery of the ball, it was unerring. The accuracy there, trust me. And I remember thinking to myself, this guy, man, he could probably play outfield. He's so comfortable with the ball at his feet. And when I saw that, and these are things that you wouldn't necessarily see unless you go to the game. When I saw him do that, I thought, right, you know what? This guy, I can see why the manager has gone for Raya. Because with the ball at his feet, seriously, he looks like an outfield player.
And
it wasn't just a delivery, it was the confidence and the technique with which he was making those crosses. I thought, right, he could easily be playing on the wing or something.
How big do you think? And I know, look, like I think it is important, the way, the style of the manager and etc. But how important do you think Ramsdale's big game character intangibles are for the team and for himself, for Arteta? Because I feel like that weighs a lot for a team. I feel like being able to carry yourself, being able to hold that position, knowing that that shirt looks like it fits you. Like for Jesus, he looks like a striker for Arsenal. For Martinelli, he looks like a striker for Arsenal. For Partey, he looks like a player that Declan Rice, perfect. He looks like a player that deserves to play for, and he should play for Arsenal. Ben White. When I look at Raya, maybe it's because I've got my Arsenal goggles on, Ramsdale goggles on. I just don't look at him and feel like he looks like an Arsenal player. Yeah,
you know what? That's a good point you make there. They are pretty different characters. Certainly, Ramsdale is more. How can I put it? He's more of an extrovert. He's more demonstrative, and I think that type of thing there, that type of quality, can endear yourself to fans. Obviously, you got to be putting the work in on pitch, but the fans connect with something like that. You know what I mean? So Ramsdale very quickly became a fan's favourite off the back of that. And listen, I welcome that as well. But what I would say is it's two very different characters. But I'm being told we got another caller on. I'm very keen to hear what he has to say. David's on the line. Yes, David. What are you saying, bro? David? Can you hear us? We're not quite.
Yeah, I think.
Hello, I can't hear you. I can't hear you though.
Oh, you can hear us, right? Okay. Right, you've seen what we've been talking about. You've seen the caption there. What's your thoughts on Ramsdale?
I think there's something wrong with the connection. I can't hear either of you.
Can you hear me, David?
We can't.
No, I can't hear you guys. I can see you speaking though, but I can't hear you.
Try and take out your thing and put it back in. Maybe try. Take it out.
Maybe if we drop him out and bring him back in a little.
Yeah, I think he's going to try and put it in and take it out.
Yeah, so you made that. That is a very good point, actually, and the fans love that, don't they? That interactiveness with the Arsenal fans has been crucial, and it gives him an air of confidence, and he's become a bit of a leader, isn't he? And I get that. So
I don't want no one here. I see some few people in the comments that I saw earlier on. I don't want nobody telling me.
Are they dissing him?
No, they're not.
Oh, right,
I don't want no one saying, "Oh, well, if Ramsdale was so good, we wouldn't get Raya." Because if Saka was so good, we wouldn't have been trying to get cover for right wing. We wouldn't have been trying to get Rafinha, Foden at Man City. They're trying to get Paqueta. They wouldn't be trying to get him if he's a golden boy and he's meant to be this amazing player. So I don't want no one telling me no rubbish about, because we got Raya in competition. That is nonsense to me. That is absolutely nonsense.
The manager has kind of hinted that he doesn't see. In fact, he's not.
Is Jesus good enough? Because now we're linked to bloody Tony. So does that mean that he's not good enough?
No. The point I'm trying to make.
Man,
no, it's not that he's not good enough. No,
I'm not having.
That's not my point. Hear me out. Let me land. We're going to try and bring back David as well. But in the meantime, the point I'm trying to make is the manager has said, and I do agree with him in this regard, that why can't you have two keepers fighting it out for the number one spot?
Okay,
just because other teams
tell
don't
me
do it,
another
don't mean
club
to say
that
we
did
can't do
that.
it.
Tell me another club. And I listen. I like Arteta. You know I like Arteta. I know you like Arteta. But tell me, just pick me one club that's got two good goalkeepers of a similar caliber. Just tell me one.
Yeah. I know, but that is my point. I'm saying that he's not frightened to go down that route.
No, man, no, Laurie.
Just because no one else ain't doing it, don't mean to say we can't.
Because it don't happen. Brother, it don't happen. No, Laurie.
Let's get David on. Let's see what David thinks about
David,
it.
answer the question for me, man. I'm sorry.
David, are you there? David? There's still an issue there.
I think try and take his
point. Hey guys.
Yes.
We heard that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear.
You still can't hear us, even with Gunali shouting his head off in the back. Okay.
No. Listen, man. I just want you to tell me one club in world football that has two apparent top keepers.
Maybe they could say that in the comments. I can't think of one. Two keepers of equally top standard.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about basic. I'm not talking about.
I know what you mean.
I just think, for example, if it was two strikers, for example, when you've got Mbembo and Risa, they're like decent level, but they're not top level, and they can play in a similar position. I want you to tell me a club that has two top keepers at the same club where there's one position. This doesn't happen. The reason why it doesn't happen,
but I agree with you there, but my response to that is, why can't you make it work? Why not?
Because it doesn't work, because there's only one position.
We've only played 14 games. We've probably got another 40 odd games to play this season.
Laurie, I'm not letting you sit here and justify that two top keepers should be at one club. It makes no sense, because you want that continuity. You want that player to own that one position. This isn't a striker, because when you think about a striker, you can throw on a Giroud and he can offer something different. No, that doesn't happen.
All right. Let me explain it like this, right? So there's 14 games gone this season already. It's a 8-6. Raya's played 8, Ramsdale.
No, it's not 8-6, because you're adding games when Ramsdale was when
No, we played 14 games.
No, but you're adding in game. No, you're cheating. You're adding in games.
All right. Let me say
adding
this.
in the Community Shield. Don't add in Nottingham Forest.
That's a high-profile game.
No, but Raya wasn't here. You can't add in games that Raya wasn't here. You're adding in. You said it's 14-6, right?
No, I'm saying we played 14 games so far.
Yes.
Ramsdale's played 6. Raya's played 8. No, but the point I'm trying to make is, right, going forward, we're still involved, obviously, in the Premier League, Champions League. We've got the 2 domestic cup competitions. There's enough games left, bro. So how you can't, after 14 games, just write it off and say that's it for either one of them. You know what I mean? There's going to be games when Ramsdale does come in and play. So I'm hoping that will be enough to persuade him to stay at Arsenal, because I think we're both in agreement here. We don't want Ramsdale to go in January. I think we're both
100%. I don't.
So what I'm saying, there will be hopefully sufficient opportunities that he'll get to play in those games. So that's my answer to your question. Yes, we got 2 quality keepers.
Capping, bro. I'm not going to lie to you.
Just because other teams ain't doing it, don't mean to say we can't do it.
You're my absolute brother, but you're capping here, bro. You're absolutely.
No, I'm actually being serious.
No, you're not. You're not being serious.
No, I am.
No, you are being serious, but you're not being serious. That's what I mean. You're being. That's why I'm
see
scared.
What I mean about this?
No, that's why I'm scared, because you are being serious, but you're not being serious, bro. Because you can't.
No, but I'm waiting to see how things evolve.
No, I'm hearing you.
We had one of the callers earlier, and he said, "Let's see how things play out," and I do agree with that. That's why I don't want to see him go in January.
Do you want to take that? Do you want to take? And do you know what? Someone in the comments, shout out to them. They said PSG, and I'm guessing they was talking about when Donnarumma was there with Kane and Navas.
Oh, right.
That's a good shout. But they brought Donnarumma in. No. But they brought Donnarumma in knowing he was going to be the number 1, but they just kind of etched it out. The same thing when it was Cech and Courtois. We knew who the number 1 was going to be, and hence why they got rid of Cech eventually. So I think it's really...
Now, what I would say is there is going to be a number 1. And at the moment, it's looking like Raya. But who's to say that if in a couple of games' time, Ramsdale comes in and has a couple of worldies, he might then establish himself. We don't know how it's going to run.
But that's my thing. That is just... With keepers, it's just every top keeper...
Yeah, but you're just saying that because you've not seen this before. But what I'm saying is this could be an innovation by the manager.
Revolutionary.
Yeah, it could be something that in years to come, other clubs are going to go down this route. We don't know yet. What I do know is that we've got 2 quality keepers and we should be blessed. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now. And I guess my final question to you will be, as it says there, will Aaron Ramsdale leave in January? What do you think will happen?
No, I don't think he's going to leave. I can't see that happening. I just think that's too far-fetched. I can't see Ramsdale going to Chelsea, who, I think he's been linked to. But
I would imagine there'll be other clubs come.
Yeah. No, listen,
I've got absolutely no doubt about that.
Listen, whether or not anyone thinks he's a top keeper, he's England's number 2, and he could possibly be England's number 1 in the future. So I think that's fair enough to say he's a good keeper. So loads of clubs will and should be in for him, but I just can't see it happening. I can't see them, getting rid of such a high-profile player.
In closing, guess what? I actually agree with you.
You know what, brother?
I actually agree.
It's Halloween this weekend, so I don't know. Maybe this. Are you right? Yeah. We never agree.
But we do agree on this one. We kind of got there by circuitous routes. But listen, thank you very much, Lee, for being my special guest as usual. Honest, forthright, entertaining, and always fun and pleasure to work with. Thanks very much to all the people who called in today, and for all those people watching. Continue to support AFTV on all the platforms. If you want to catch up with future fan zones. As it says there, download the AFTV app and you can get access to the show. Thank you very much to everybody involved. We're out and we'll see you very soon. Take care.